Hello, good morning everyone. Today we are from group 1. We'll be explain about our material today. And our material is about Indonesia's wetlands ecosystems. Okay, the first will be explained by me, and the next will be explained by my friends Reski Aprilia and Putri Nur Auliana. Okay, the first, as we know, Indonesia is a country that has large tract of lands and rich in nature. And then this is so amazing actually. The first material is about what are defined as wetlands. Okay, wetlands are areas where water covers the soil or is present either at or near the surface of the soil all year or for varying period of time during the year, including during the growing season. And then water saturation or hydrology largely determines how the soil develops and the types of plant and animal communities living in and on the soil. Okay. Wetlands may support both aquatic and terrestrial species. The prolonged presence of water creates conditions that favor the growth of specially adapted plants, or we can say as hydrophytes, and promote the development of characteristic wetlands or hydric soils. Okay, the next one is about mangroves and peatlands. Okay, Indonesia has ca 3 million hectare or 23% world's mangrove area. This is so amazing actually, and so many areas that have mangrove. Okay, deforestation rate is 50,000 to 80,000 hectare for years, and there are more mangroves in Indonesia than any continents. The next, mangroves provide a natural barrier for coastal communities and whole ecosystem from storm surge, flooding, and erosion. Okay, about peatlands. Okay, peatlands provide weather, store water, thereby mitigating flooding and drought, and preserve permafrost and peatlands distribution in Indonesia. Okay, about peatlands distribution in Indonesia. The first is Sumatra. Sumatra is deep to very deep, 7.2 mha, 19 GTC, and Kalimantan shallow to deep, 5.8 mha and 11 GTC, and Papua shallow to moderate, 8.0 mha, 3 GTC. Okay, about capacity building, because I have explained before that. So for capacity building is training workshop, measurement campaigns, and then international workshop. So I think that's all for me. So the next material will be explained by my friend Reski Aprilia.
Okay, for the next part, there are 3 capacity building. First one is training workshop, and then measurement campaigns, and the third is international workshop. And there is emerging challenge pulp plantation. There are large-scale, intensively managed, even-age monocultures, mostly of exotic trees like fast-growing eucalyptus, pine, and acacia species. These stand for industrial process that produce pulp and paper, or timber for other products. Pulpwood acacia plantation account for the remaining area under the industrial management. These are mostly 95% located in Sumatra. Ever expanding oil palm planta. The first one is intensifying plantation, and then undegraded mineral soils, and the third avoid wetlands, reassess land banking, and use moratorium clauses, and the last is revenue from palm oil, $16 billion per year. And there are two best uses for science. The first one is outreach and the second is network. For outreach, there is a scientific publication. Scientific publications are where results and knowledge derived by science and are shared and taught to others in the world. Results are no use to anybody if they are not made available to the expert to be discussed, critically evaluate and build upon. Consequently, ever since the beginning of modern science, various forms of publishing have played a central role in the work of researchers who need to be able to present their work intelligibly in written form to have it recognized by their peers. And the second is UNFCCC, or United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. The UNFCCC objective is to stabilize greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere at level that would prevent dangerous anthropogenic interference with the climate system. For the third is IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. The IPCC is the United Nations body for assessing the science related to climate change. The IPCC was created to provide policymakers with regular scientific assessment on climate change, its implications and potential future risks, as well as to put forward adaptation and mitigation options. Through its assessment, the IPCC determines the state of knowledge on climate change. It identifies where there is agreement in the scientific community on topics related to climate change and where further research is needed. The reports are drafted and reviewed in several stages, thus guaranteeing objectivity and transparency. Okay, for the second is delivered by Putri Nur Auliana.
Okay, now I will continue Reski's explanation. The second use is network. The first is Blue Carbon Working Group. The Blue Carbon Working Group is a multi-stakeholder group that has been formed to explore key barriers and opportunities for coastal wetland restoration and conservation, or WRC, activities, and identify and prioritize recommendations for how standards and their supporting methodologies and tools could drive finance to WRC activities. The second is FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization. It helps governments and development agencies coordinate their activities to improve and develop agriculture, forestry, fisheries, and land and water resources. It also conducts research, provides technical assistance to projects, operates educational and training programs, and collects data on agricultural output, production, and development. And the last is UNEP, or United Nations Environment Program, is responsible for coordinating the UN's environmental activities and assisting developing countries in implementing environmentally sound policies and practices. Its mandate covers a wide range of areas, including the atmosphere, marine and terrestrial ecosystems, environmental governance, and green economic development. UNEP's activities include developing international environmental conventions, promoting environmental science and information, working with public and private stakeholders on developing and implementing policy, funding and implementing environmental development projects such as reforestation and wetlands restoration, and formulating guidelines on issues such as the international trade in potentially harmful chemicals, transboundary air pollution, and contamination of international waterways. It also maintains a repository of scientific and environmental research. And then, as for other best use of science, including the first, measuring CIG fluxes from drain, pit, swamp, and fire emissions. The second, quantifying sea stocks change from forest conversions. And the last, LUCC monitoring 100,000 hectare per year in 2002-2005. That's all from our group. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.